Let's focus in on Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. It's the third lockdown. It's a bit of a brutal time for small business, and Bill Lang is our man to talk about all the latest. Great to see you, Bill. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning, Adrian.
So, Victoria-wide lockdown with about 20 odd cases at the moment. But what's the impact on small business in Victoria right now?
Yeah, look, I think for those viewers that are here in Victoria and those more broadly around Australia, Adrian, they're pretty clear about what it is. Like we've had 6 million people sort of locked down, still a day and a bit to go in terms of what the earliest reopening might be. The Valentine's lockdown, effectively, as it's being called here in Sicktoria, and they're not really talking about COVID sickness, but in terms of the capability of the various people that we trust to be able to go about the work that they do, and whether that's in hotels, quarantine hotels, whether that's with respect to transportation, with respect to tracing and testing, all of those areas. There's lots and lots of questions being asked because anyone in the restaurant business, the florist business, people that had events organised over the weekend, whether it was Country Week tennis up in Swan Hill, up there on the border, or whether it was a wedding or some other celebration, from out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, the Premier locked down for the third time straight to stage 4. And still, 4 days now into the lockdown, nothing said for the small business people of Victoria around the direct compensation that's needed for all that food, all those other things that were thrown away, not to mention ongoing expenses of being in business.
Yeah, it's a seriously tough time. What's the difference between how New South Wales manages tracing and Victoria? Because there seems like a rather large gap.
Look, it's significant differences. So in terms of New South Wales, they have a real citizen-focused service called Service New South Wales. You want to deal with the New South Wales government with respect to anything now for several years, you deal with an organisation called Service New South Wales. Highly efficient, great use of digital technology. Secondly, they have a QR code system, which has been in use for several months and which was made mandatory for every business and workplace in New South Wales by the Premier of New South Wales at the start of this year. That means the people in contract tracing have immediate access to all of the information where the citizens have scanned the code in terms of knowing where they've been and how long they've been there, which means they can directly contact those citizens straight away. Now, down in Victoria, there is now a QR code system, and it has some of the features of what Service New South Wales has. But unfortunately, there are still many, many hundreds of different types of systems, from pencil and paper through to SMS systems to other QR code systems, and they're not integrated in any way. And what that means is when it comes time to do the tracing, the team here are effectively getting on the telephone, ringing up, asking people to remember those sorts of things. So we're literally years and years behind. And when I sort of talk about Sicktoria, I'm talking about the actual quality and efficiency of the services that the citizens of Victoria are provided with. And we are literally years behind. And in a major situation like a pandemic, the people of Victoria are now feeling it.
So what do you think small businesses need to survive this period of time?
Well, look, at the highest level, it's confidence, but in the very short term, they actually need direct financial support, Adrian. So again, as I said, it's one thing to say, oh, well, they've lost trade and revenue, but many had already purchased the various goods and services that they would use. Fresh food as an example, flowers as an example. So direct payment, we still haven't heard anything from the Victorian government around what is the compensation and how will it actually be paid. So if you're going to announce, basically it's lockdown, the Valentine's Day lockdown instantly for 5 days, where's the announcement of that direct financial support? It's not like the pandemic just started 4 weeks ago. The Victorian government has had absolutely months and months to come up with contingency plans and have solutions in place. Now, small business people, here in Victoria, there's 1.5 million people that own or work in small businesses. They're pulling their hair out. They're now more likely to be gone for good, particularly when JobKeeper goes. But we need direct financial support. Less talk, more action, Adrian.
So just to finish, what can citizens do to help small businesses right now?
Look, the citizens of Australia have been magnificent because they've been out and supporting the local businesses in their local area. Yep. There's another key component, and that's the need to keep well. We have to make sure that we're keeping a bit of distance and keeping our hands clean, and when we're near other people, wearing masks. We have to do the sorts of things that we can do to reduce giving or getting the virus and continuing to support the local businesses over the phone, online, drop in, but spend some dollars with those local businesses and let them know that you are there as their customers for them, as they have been there for you over many, many years.
Yeah, very well said, Bill. It is great to see people out there just doing the right thing in many ways. Let's continue and hope in a day and a bit, as you say, some positive news, because we did have some good news, and let's hope. I still feel some positivity. Hopefully you do as well. Thanks for your time, mate. We'll talk to you really soon, okay?
Yeah, good on you, Adrian. Thank you.
Good stuff. Bill Lang there from Small Business Australia.